Call to order the Siloam Springs Board of Directors meeting for January 7th, 2025. Roll call.
Blair.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Wiles.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Rissler.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
At this time, if you all will please stand with me, and Director Hunt will lead us in prayer, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for bringing us here together to discuss the citizens and the city of Siloam Springs. I thank you that we have a place to live that we all enjoy calling home, Lord. Thank you for 2024, and I just pray that you blessings over the coming year, 2025. And I pray your blessings over tonight's meeting. What we do to glorify you, Lord.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, before we move into the rest of our agenda, we are, each 2 years, we are required to elect a new or continue with a current vice mayor. We have to vote on that every 2 years. It actually says, this is our direction, that any director may nominate himself or herself or any other member of the board of directors for vice mayor. And no second of a nomination is required. Each director shall vote by naming his or her choice by voice vote, and if there is more than one nominee for a position, then the majority vote would prevail. So I will open the floor for nominations for vice mayor.
Mayor, I would like to nominate Reed Carroll.
Carol, thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to nominate David Allen.
Okay. Anyone else? If there is not, then we will take a voice vote, and you will please give the name of the person that you are voting for. Roll call.
Burns.
Carroll.
Wiles.
Allen.
Hunt.
Carroll.
Rissler.
Allen.
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 Carroll.
Carroll.
Blair.
Allen.
So by 4-3 vote, David has been our vice mayor for the last 2 years, and he will continue in that position. I'm assuming, David, you will accept that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
All
you.
right. So now we will move into our regular agenda. The first item is public input. The public may address the Board of Directors regarding any item on the consent agenda or any city business not listed on the board's regular agenda. So first, I will ask if there is anyone here that would like to address the board on any item that is not a regular agenda item. Please come to the podium, give us your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Board, Arthur Holbert, 20705 Highway 16, Siloam Springs, President CEO of the Siloam Springs Chamber of Commerce. Given a real brief update today because I will miss next City Board meeting, maybe a few after that because of some obligations I have with the 3rd Congressional Caucus in Little Rock. Be there for while they're in session, basically with some meetings, helping with their agenda and some other things. About 25 legislators we're involved with weekly. Turn in the 4th quarter report to the city. So I'll just kind of hit a 50,000-foot view. We've got about 3 large RFIs we're working on collaboratively with the city and also Northwest Council and some other entities. We did do our business plan competition. You guys know we celebrated them a couple weeks ago. gave away $5,500 to 4 local businesses, and we're thankful for the relationship that we have with the city to help make that possible. So Pool of Siloam was very successful, had that. We actually got everything cleaned up today. So very thankful for the relationship we have with the city there, and it touched a lot of people's life and helped with a lot of the culture that we all believe in and promote. So it was very well received. Do want to remind everyone that we do have our annual banquet. That will be February the 11th. Tickets have gone on sale. And just kind of, I guess, this first real public announcement, our Outstanding Civic Leader Award will go to James Barnett. And then our Pioneer Citizen will be Joe Woolbright. Will be our Pioneer Citizen we'll be celebrating. So we hope that you guys can all be there. It'll be February 11th. Thank you very much. And my detailed report for more details, obviously, is the city has that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arthur. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Do I need to state my name?
Yes, sir, I need your name and address. Thank you.
Yep, Dustin Perkins, 1260 Sebastian Lane. Dear Madam Mayor and members of the board, I would like to take a few moments just to discuss a special use permit on the 2700 block of East Kenwood Street. After long talks with Megan and Ben and planning, we all decided that a special use permit would be the best course of action for these 4 cottage homes. The special use permit allows the city to add conditions and maintain control of the property better than rezoning would. Because if the conditions aren't adhered to, the permit could be taken away. Also, the special use permit will stay with the property if the property is ever sold or changed hands, meaning the same conditions of no future development would stay with the property. I know that special use permits may not be ideal for some situations, but I think with careful consideration in this situation, it is the best case for the city of Siloam to maintain control, protect the neighbors, and add affordable housing to a growing area. Next, I would like to address a few concerns from the previous board meeting. The first is statements made about property values, the neighbor property values decreasing in the area because of these being changed to long-term rentals. The evidence brought forth was from a real estate agent, not a licensed appraiser, and it assumed the properties were 265 to 275 square feet instead of their actual size of 650 square feet. After I talked to an actual licensed real estate appraiser, Jennifer Emerson, she informed me that based on her knowledge of Northwest Arkansas and appraising properties, the value of the surrounding homes will not change, if at all, as long as these 4 cottage homes are maintained. Next, the neighbor was also concerned about the upkeep of the property. I just want the board to know that in full confidence, we will take care of this property and the north fence that is shared with the neighbor. We are also willing to, as a sign of good faith, install a fence along the west side of the property once the lot split happens with the church. These 4 cottage homes offer a unique opportunity for the city and board to bring affordable housing to the community. 2 of these units would be ideal for members of the 55-plus community as they are already fitted with ramps. Also, if they are rented out long-term, the neighbors will get a chance to know the people, and they will feel much safer compared to someone being there that they do not know. In conclusion, I hope that we can work together to come up with a win-win solution on this, as the houses continuing to sit empty is not a good long-term solution for any party involved. If the permit is denied, that these houses will continue to sit vacant. They will decay, causing the property owners to get upset and potentially cause more crime in the area. Also, if they decay, they will likely become blighted properties, and that will drag the property values down in the whole area. I ask that each one of you consider the merits and new information on this special use permit and kindly reconsider adding it back to the agenda for more discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Anyone else? Yes, sir, please state your name and address.
David Love, 608 Grand Court. I'm here on behalf of a bunch of citizens for the Lake Francis project that's been a disaster. Our whole project has been overdrawn by 7 months, and we've had excuse after excuse after excuse from the city and from TriStar. It's not done correctly. We tried to point that out. I've had multiple meetings with Kevin, which doesn't have any construction knowledge, which is knowledgeable. So there we got that. And now, for whatever reason, I have a lot of people from the city of Siloam calling me and providing me with a lot of information. There is so much information here that this board should be ashamed of yourselves. You guys have been voted in to take care of the people of Siloam, and that's not happening. And FOIA requests not being adhered to is against the law. I received an email at 5:05 this evening that they're ready at 4:45. I don't even know what they require or what there is even in them yet because I wasn't able to make it to the city hall. The law is the law. This board should be holding these people accountable. Your city administrator and your engineer here aren't doing their jobs. 7 months over on a construction project is not acceptable. It's been one lie right after the other. My phones are blowing up. They're calling my employees, all kinds of stuff here. I've tried to point this out as nicely as I could. I'm really concerned about the laws and the legalities that are being broken here by the board, the administration, and the lawyer. I am going to go ahead and file complaints with the Attorney General's office and the Bar Association of Arkansas. This is ridiculous. There's no accountability for this board. You guys aren't listening to the citizens. I have talked to numerous of you guys, and you guys say, I'm here for the citizens, but you want them to call you. They're not calling you. Your own employees aren't even calling you. I have 4 inches of paperwork here from people supplying me information from the city hall and your employees. You should be ashamed of yourself with this stuff going on. Secret contracts that I'm going to release and give out to everybody, to meetings that your employees are quitting. 2 people over Christmas were in my yard talking to me about a job because they are tired of the city of Siloam. And there's more coming. I guarantee it. My phone had 15 phone calls today just from people from Siloam City. Who is the attorney? I will be filing a formal complaint against you.
Mr. Love, please address your comments to the mayor and the board.
I'm going to, you have ethics violation. I've already talked to the Bar Association about this in the Attorney General's office. I will be filing formal complaints about what's going on here. You guys are to be held accountable for this. You're supposed to be representing the city of Siloam and the citizens of Siloam, and that's not happening. I've heard every excuse from lots and lots of you that say that you are taking care of this, that you're listening to your citizens. You're not. I guarantee it. I had a phone call from an old man today that could barely breathe, that said he spoke to one of you and thought that he had just been lied to over and over and over again. You should be held accountable.
Thank you, sir. Your 3 minutes are up. Is there, yes, sir, come forward.
Philip Smith, 1012 Lake Francis Drive. I'll just list my things and then I'll be done. My house flooded twice. Y'all put me in the floodplain when you raised the level of the road. You took out trees and a lilac bush that had been there before my parents bought that place in 1941. There's weeds along the western part of my place that I can't mow now. I asked for the fence to be taken out and leveled out, and that didn't happen. So I couldn't mow it, keep it up. The mailboxes, my mailboxes were taken down, and we had we weren't even told about it. We finally had to go to the post office and get our mail, and I'd like to have a mailbox put back up. The water line, my water line's draped across the top of the tile, and it's just underneath the cement sidewalk, and I'm already having problems with my water freezing. Water stands in my front yard. I still have a lake out there. It's been addressed several times and not fixed. They put holes in the tiles to take care of the water, and one of them was totally useless. I don't know why it was put there to begin with, and the other one, this still isn't taking the water. I just assumed they were both sealed up and fixed so I could mow that. The ditch they put in beside my house will take care of the water. I don't need that hole there for my dogs to get in. And Brightspeed. Brightspeed has encroached upon me twice and never said a word, and I don't really appreciate it. They fix things that I can't take care of. I'm disabled and I can't carry a weed eater. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, sir.
Hello, Ryan Cloud, 3300 East J Street.
In what city is Siloam?
Oh, Siloam,
Springs?
yes, sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, and thank you, board members, all for your service. My name is Ryan Cloud, and I'm here tonight to ask for your help, or at least begin a discussion resolving some issues with a piece of property. It's 2.2 acres. It's on Twin Falls Road. It's actually on the state line, just on the Oklahoma side. So I bought the remainder of a 99-year lease, I come to find out, and the underlying property is owned by Siloam Springs Water Company. I've hired a title attorney. Every realtor and abstract and title agent that I've talked to said that the abstract and title work on this property going back to original Lake Francis development is a mess. So it's currently the subject of a quiet title suit due to several issues with the legal description. As I mentioned, I bought the property on a quitclaim deed, assuming that I was going to have clear ownership. My attorney filed public notice, and then the water company said, actually, we own that underlying property. You just bought the remainder of a lease that runs till April of 2059. Been offered an extension until April of 2089. However, on leased property, I can't get a construction loan, can't get a mortgage, and several other issues with financing. To build a single-family home is my goal. So the discussion I would like to have is being able to purchase from the water company the complete title to the land. I think they would call it, not quiet title, but fee simple ownership. So this property is within 1/8 of a mile of the Illinois River in the state of Oklahoma, subject to very restrictive septic system rules. It's not even a septic system there. I've already had the soil testing done, paid for the survey, paid for brush clearing. My attorney, through your attorney, is aware that the water company is concerned primarily about water quality there. And so I am willing to subject myself to any restrictive, basically the laws of the state of Oklahoma are pretty restrictive on what you can do on something that close to an open body of water. So yeah, I would like to begin that discussion to see if we can resolve this by me purchasing the property from the water company. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Kent Wyatt, 1109 East Jewel Street. I understand the gentleman's frustration about the Lake Francis issue, but I just wanted to share that I have been here in these meetings time after time again, and I have watched you board members equally as frustrated and have been trying to address this. I've seen Director Gilbert equally as frustrated, trying to address this over and over. That I know that you are trying to hold these people, the people that have worked on Lake Francis, the ones that were contracted to do it, you've tried to hold them accountable. You're finding them the maximum amount that you can, I understand, and you are over and over trying to do something about this, and I just wanted to share that with all the people that are upset down there, because I know that is also your frustration I have seen in your own dealings and your own faces when you have been here discussing this thing time after time in these meetings when I've been in here watching it. And I know when the city does things, they do it very well. And they come out and they take care of business. I know the planners work very hard and they try to do things well. And this is something that I just think they need to know the other part of this story. I know that you guys are also in the same boat with them, very upset about the whole thing. That's all I need to say.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir. You probably need to pull that mic down.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Charlie. I live in 1011 East Lake Francis Drive. So the way I be here because I want my fan to put a best on because they've been there for a long time. So I got a lot of kids. So it don't matter what kind of fan they put on, long like I got fans on to be fine. So I'm glad that over. Because I've been there, I stay on the dock all summer long. So I'm glad that be done now. So that's all I be here is make sure I got my fan back.
Very good. Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
James McGurk, 412 West University Street in Siloam. I have a friend that lives on Lake Francis Road, and today I went and drove the street. It's a terrible job. Absolutely terrible job that you all are letting TriStar get away with. You're not supporting us, the citizens. You're not. And I think it's about time that you either stop using TriStar and find somebody that can fix that mess and straighten it out for all the people that live there that don't have to worry about their houses flooding and water lines freezing. I don't even know if any of you have been out there and looked around or drove it or what since they paved it, if that's what you want to call that. It's rougher now than it was when it was a dirt road. I don't get it. Our tax money's going to this. I don't understand why y'all just don't stop TriStar from messing us over, not sticking behind their work, and then saying, oh, well, you can fine me if you want to, but we won't pay it. And you know we won't pay the fine.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Jason Davis, Public Service Director. Madam Mayor, Board, I just wanted to give you an update real quick on some things going on at sanitation and what we've done in the last year. Through our November financials, just to let you know what I've got so far, in our recycling income, this is something that when I first started here, Alan tasked me with, doing what we can to get the revenues up for sanitation. And I'm happy to say that from this year in '24, from what we did in '23, we're up 127% on our recycling income. We're up 243% on our miscellaneous income. And these are some numbers that I'm real proud of that we've worked really hard at. And I want to say thank you to the board and Alan for allowing us to get the proper equipment and the proper things that we needed to make these numbers happen. We really appreciate it. I just wanted to let you guys know that without the balers that you guys let us purchase and get, that we wouldn't be having these numbers that we have now. So I want to say thank you to the board, Mayor, and Alan for putting us in the right spot and getting us where we need to be. So very happy with these numbers, and I just wanted to share it with you guys.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
William Hall, 1203 North Letitia Lane, Siloam Springs, Arkansas. I don't want to beat a dead horse here. I didn't even know this Lake Francis thing was going to come up tonight, but apparently there is a lot of people here who care about this issue. I don't live by it. My business is close to it. Often I will take the back way when I go to the bank so I can avoid traffic, so I have driven it many times. I will say this, I've never seen such a short period of road take so long to get built. I could just imagine the wear and tear on the vehicles of every property owner who lives out there. That hasn't been mentioned. Pop tires, at the least. Having your vehicle go out of alignment, driving over all those bumps all the time. I'm sure you have citizens who are out a lot of their own pocket due to that lasting so long. I think as an independent person, a taxpayer myself, I think an independent audit should be done on that job for the sake of just the integrity of the job and the transparency. I don't see why it's too much of a deal to have an audit to find out how we've ended up where we've ended up and what it's going to take to solve the problem moving forward. That's all I'll say.
Thank you. Anyone else? If there is not, is there anyone that would like to address an item that is on our consent agenda tonight? I'm sorry. Yeah, as soon as we get through, if they want to speak on anything that's on the consent agenda. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, there is not. So now we will move into our presentations. First is our Deputy Chief Derek Spicer from the Police Department. He is going to introduce our Benton County Officer of the Year. Derek?
Madam Mayor, Board, it's always a great pleasure when I get to come up and speak before you guys for something that the city and the people that you trust have done well. First, I'm going to start with Corporal Fritz. Corporal Fritz, unfortunately, is very ill and asked that he not come tonight because he chose not to be a super spreader. So we're appreciative of that. But Corporal Fritz was picked by the AG's office as the Benton County Officer of the Year. So not just the Siloam Springs Officer of the Year or our individual Officer of the Year. He was chosen as the Benton County Officer of the Year, and he was recognized for that. Most of you are familiar with Corporal Fritz. He does a great job as an SRO. He's an incredible instructor, and he does a lot for this community. So unfortunately, he was not able to be here tonight. So he just wished that I extend his thanks and his appreciation, and we appreciate him for everything he does. Now, for the one who makes me sick, but he chose to come anyway, I don't know. But Officer Rivera was chosen as the American Legion Officer of the Year this year. Officer Rivera has served in the U.S. Army for a number of years. He's currently with the reserves and continues to serve. He came to our department a few years ago and since then has exemplified what it means to be a Siloam Springs police officer. He is very active. He has abilities to deal with people on a patient, personable level that come with natural abilities. And we are lucky to have him. He's a defensive tactics instructor. He recently became a member of our SWAT team, and he has served this community well for the last several years. And Officer Eric Rivera as the American Legion Officer of the Year for 2024.
Congratulations. Thank you, Derek, and thank you to our officers who do such a fantastic job.
Do we have Megan to take a picture?
I can.
Mark? Definitely need to get that in the press, Mark.
They can go with you.
Derek, you want to come up and be in the picture also?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, you do.
You're trying to hide.
One with him, and then I'll come up.
You'll be able to show that picture to them when they're grown, and
Absolutely.
they'll be happy to know you had them in the picture.
Those little ones make it even better, don't they?
Yeah.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
so much.
Proud of you. Good job.
All right, thank you.
Next, we will have Chief Dustin Kendall from our fire department, who is going to introduce our firefighter of the year.
Come on up here, Jordan. Thank you, Mayor, Board. This year's 2024 Firefighter of the Year has been with us for 4 years now. He was nominated by his peers, and they all had very nice things to say about you, some funny things, but all nice things. They all recognize your hard work ethic, your attention to detail, and all the skill sets that you brought to our team. We're very grateful to have you. Josh here was recognized at the American Legion last night as well for being Firefighter of the Year, and he will also be nominated for the State Firefighter of the Year. So we might get to do another presentation hopefully soon. We'll see. But just want to say a big thank you to you for your service and introduce you all to 2024 Firefighter of the Year, Josh Campbell.
So who's going to win the pancake eating contest at Dogwood?
Josh can do it.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Josh. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next is, looks like Chris Paxton is coming forward. We are going to recognize from our Community Development Department the outgoing Planning Commissioner and Chair. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. Our volunteers for boards, committees, and commissions are an important part of the process of governing in the city of Siloam Springs. These public servants work for little or no pay and are generally residents that want to give back to the community which they love. As a former planning commissioner myself, for another jurisdiction, I understand the challenges that planning commissioners face in their work to make informed decisions while making recommendations that can shape the fabric of Siloam Springs. Community Development and this administration rise today to thank two of those public servants for their service. If I may request the mayor to join me to please present outgoing Commissioner Chairman J.W. Smith, and I do not believe he is present, and Commissioner Dr. Ted Song with these tokens of our appreciation for their service.
Dr. Song for his service to the Siloam Springs Planning Commission from July 2016 through December 2024. During his tenure, Dr. Song also held the position of secretary. His commitment to the commission and the community is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You realize you predated me. Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Zone.
So we have had some really good presentations tonight. Thank you all for the service to our community and to this city. So next, we will move into our consent agenda. Item A, regular meeting minutes, December 17th, 2024. Item B, Resolution 1-25, professional services designation, pickleball, professional and/or tennis professional. Item C, Resolution 2-25, adopt 2025 board rules. Directors, is there any item that you would like to have pulled for separate consideration?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, David.
letter C,
Yes, sir.
and I only had a question about B.
Okay.
If Allison Bellamy has been involved or knows about this, I wouldn't want to do anything without her. She's the one who brought pickleball to Siloam, really, and I want to make sure that she's been included.
Travis, can you answer that real quick? It's just
So
a-
I guess we should pull it off if we
We
need to
can pull it for
discuss
separate consideration, yeah. Okay, so we'll pull A and B. B and C, I'm sorry. A, B, and C. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with item A being the only remaining item?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second roll call.
Wiles?
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes.
Rissler?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Motion is approved. So we'll start with Resolution 1-25. And Travis, if you'll come to the podium, please. And David, you had a question?
Yeah, I just didn't know, have we included Allison's input on this?
Yes, if the board approves this, then we would certainly include Allison's opinion on it.
Has she already seen this or been involved in it?
I believe she
Up to
has,
now.
but I can't say for 100% certain.
Okay. I would hate to approve something that, because she's been so involved in this, that, that she's not been apprised of all of this so far. That's, I mean, once we do this, it's done. And I just have a problem moving forward when we only have the pickleball so active in Siloam because of what all she's done for the community. That's my only concern.
So, yes, Betsy.
Can you just explain for the public what this resolution is? What
Sure,
it does,
love to.
Please, thank you.
So pickleball, of course, as y'all know, is a very popular sport across the country right now. It's the fastest growing activity in the United States. And currently, for the past several years, the city of Siloam Springs has offered free pickleball facilitated play and instruction. We have a growing community that would like to see more tournaments, leagues, things like that, beyond the scope of what our staff with our own selves could facilitate. So we're looking at this regional model, which is bringing in some sort of professional firm. We're familiar with two locally that could run and manage pickleball in the city. That means offering regular clinics, camps, leagues, tournaments, and then the city would receive some agreed upon percentage of the fees from those events. I would expect that Allison would very likely, depending on who we select, be part of something like that. But our hope is to offer more opportunities for folks who play pickleball to grow in their skills, increase their participation, and also to generate revenue for the city.
Madam Mayor? Yes. So in it, I saw it said, but this would be no expense to the city. It's all going to be
Correct.
paid for and actually make a little money.
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Brad.
so my last tenure on the board, we talked the futsal court with JBU and this expansion. I know it's a bit off topic, but with this potential expansion, is that still a possibility to create more courts?
More pickleball courts?
Yeah.
Not with this. This would be simply the board giving staff permission to procure this service through the request for proposal procurement. So currently, it wouldn't really have anything else to do with futsal or expanding courts.
So, but revenue created, could it go into expansion of courts? Because I see that need's already here. We've surpassed that.
Sure, I think that might be a question for the finance director, but my understanding is it would go into general fund.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
My only problem with expanding professional service designations is that it is usually set up for an RFP instead of bidding it out. We are basically moving the proposal to a company that we already wish to have the input or the running of an operation. And by doing this, we're basically putting someone in business in Siloam to be doing this for the citizens. And I just don't know if that is something that we should be rushing into. It is new. I hate to start charging a lot of money to people to learn this thing. It just raises some red flags for me.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Mindy.
So what would it look like in terms of availability to pickleball players? So I'm assuming these lessons would be done at our pickleball courts?
Correct.
And so when would the general public who's not taking the lessons be able to play? Would it tie up the courts a lot?
In some regard, it would. What we've put in our current request for proposals, if this is approved, would be making sure that the courts are available for general, like unplanned use every day of the week. That there would be tournaments no more than once a month. So like on a Saturday, the courts wouldn't be tied up more than one time per month. We want to make sure that anytime there are lessons, they're not taking more than half of the courts at any one time. That's a request in our request for proposals. And then if there are any leagues that folks are participating in, making sure that that's happening no more than 2 evenings a week, so that the majority of the time the courts are still free for, unstructured play.
That would probably be one of my biggest concerns because as you know, I mean, David and I both go up and down that street there's people playing every night.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't want this to take away a lot of their time.
That's my concern too, Mindy.
Yeah.
And so far, it seems like Allison and others have been eager to instruct within the group on an informal basis.
Well,
So-
and Chris Barlow is one of our
Correct.
city's instructors,
Correct.
right? So I think they do instruction like earlier and then everybody plays.
Yeah,
generally.
on Tuesday nights, the past couple of years, what we've done is have a period of informal instruction on Tuesday nights before the big kind of informal play starts. The reason we'd be pivoting away from that is that we've kind of, the community has grown enough that people are wanting more specialization, and what they can learn. So the way we're currently doing it is very much just for beginners. This would offer a wider range of kind of skills and more focused lessons for people that like that.
And I understand that. I don't have an issue with that. I would want to make sure that the majority of the time was still available to the public.
In
on
that,
those courts.
in our RFP, that's kind of our number one big picture ask, is making sure that these courts are mainly for unstructured play. But it's in the same way that we, designate a couple nights a week of our, say, our softball fields for adult softball or
And we would still have some control over that schedule.
Yes, so the city would decide on the final schedule. Yep.
Madam Mayor?
Okay, David, I'll come to you, and then I'll come back to you. Lisa, go ahead.
I hate for us to be doing this just so we can make some money for the city if we have not talked to or heard from some of the citizens that are involved in this sport every week. As Mindy has said, I mean, it is tied up all the time because of how much interest. And we don't have courts in 4 different directions. We've got them on Benton Street, basically, that's it. And we changed the old tennis courts into the pickleball court. And it was a good thing. And it was done because of the demand, the request that we do this. But again, we're here to serve the public, and I would rather see this put off at least one meeting until we have public input, including from Ms. Bellamy, to talk to us. And other pickleballers, I guess you call them, that might reach out after hearing that we're discussing this.
Thank you, David. Lisa?
So I had a citizen make a comment to me. There are already pickleball leagues at the old Dayspring building at Oak Haven. Would this compete with the already private businesses, and have we even had that discussion? Have we even?
We've had that discussion, and in our RFP, one of the other primary things that we would be looking for in some sort of firm that would do this would be that the Siloam, any leagues at the City of Siloam Springs courts would not be they wouldn't be standalone. They would include what's going on out at Dayspring, at Upward Fitness, and what's going on at John Brown. So we'd be looking for somebody that understands kind of the broader pickleball ecosystem, if you will, and brings Siloam's leagues into that broader system.
I happen to agree with David. I think that one of the things that I noticed from this meeting already is we used to have pre-agenda meetings. We had them at Fayetteville when I worked for the city of Fayetteville, and Alan started them here. And so a lot of questions are unanswered. Now we're in this meeting, and now we don't have a lot of we have questions that we can't answer. And so I agree. I would be willing to extend it one meeting just to have conversations with Allison. I didn't, because I probably could have reached out to you, but it was the holidays, and, I've had a lot in my family going on. And so, yeah, I would like to hold it off on one meeting if we could.
So Alan would like to make a comment, and then I'll come to you, Reed. Alan?
What I'm hearing from the board, I don't think right now we have some time. We're early in the season, that we can table this to the next meeting and invite some pickleball players and who we need to ask questions. So I think my staff and I are good with tabling this and to bring you more, to bring you answers and feedback before we make a decision.
Okay, thank you. Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Travis, I like what you're doing with it and where you're going, and I think these are good next steps. But I don't mind waiting till the next meeting, but I like what you're doing.
Brett?
Madam Mayor, I agree. I think it's significant enough. I would suggest forming a committee of significant players as suggested by board members and putting some real review to that. And I wouldn't even rush it for the next meeting and bring it with all your, the I's dotted and the T's crossed, because it's going to be significant. Springdale's doing a $50 million investment in a pickleball court east of 412. So you got to wrap your mind around where pickleball is really going. And so I think it requires, it's great, but I think it's going to require more than just rushing it. It needs to be done right, or it's going to come back and end up like the softball fields, and we end up in little squabbles amongst ourselves, not the board, but amongst the players and the clubs and the teams and that sort of thing. So prevention would be great with a committee process as a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Madam Mayor,
So-
I make a motion, we table this.
Okay, would you like to table it till the February 4th meeting? That would be the first meeting in February?
If that's
Is that agreeable?
appropriate to the board, yes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to table till the February 4th meeting. And you've been kind of given direction what they are looking for when you come back. Okay? So, yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Am I hearing from the board, since we're going to skip a meeting, do we want to do a workshop or anything in there to do this? Or you just want us to bring the information back to you if we have a committee of players and people that know a lot more about this game than myself?
Well, I
So
think.
I'm just looking for some guidance on that.
I think what I'm hearing is kind of that they would like for you all to reach out and get that information and get the input and put that together and then present that to them prior to actually the meeting on the 4th so that they have time to review that, get questions back to you.
But that'll give us a month to have
Right.
input from the public.
Right.
And as Director Burns said, a committee may be the best way to go because of how many people involved in Siloam love that sport. It's not like between now and February 4th, they're going to be dying to start playing.
No.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
we've
I
got the
think that
time
they'll-
now. Now's the time to do it rather than the middle of the summer, so.
Right. So, is that good? Okay. So, we have a motion and a second to post or to table till the February 4th meeting. Roll call.
Hunt?
Yes.
Rissler?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Wiles?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Travis. So then we have Resolution 2-25 for adopting the 2025 board rules. David, I think there was something in there that you would like to have changed that we did not change.
Right.
Is that correct?
The ones that was in our board packet needs to go back to the ones that are in front of us that were approved. Somehow, letter C, number 1, small letter B, got reverted to an older version. And
What
And
page is that?
and I believe
it's on the mayor's veto
mayor's veto
power.
power. It's on page 5 of your, it was under mayor and vice mayor, where item B, mayor's veto under C. I believe there was some statutes, is that correct, David, listed in the one that was revised, that referred back to
It refers,
veto power,
the one
yeah.
in today's, or in the packet, refers to the state law that got us in trouble in the first place
Right.
with the previous city attorney on the word decisions.
Right.
And we removed that and changed it to the current wording that's in front of us. And somehow, the one that we got presented got reverted to the old paragraph.
Right. Okay. Passed by the majority of the Board of Directors and/or adopted. So what I'm seeing here says the mayor has the power to veto any ordinance, resolution, or order other than personnel passed by a majority of the Board of Directors and/or adopted by the Board of Directors within 3 days. And that is what it should read. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And so everyone is in agreement with that, that we want to make sure that is the wording that is in.
That's what we're voting on?
And I think, yes, this is what we're in. David, I think mine says that. Does yours say that? Yeah.
If it's wrong on the agenda packet.
What I pulled up in the board packet had.
That it's wrong on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so the one online is wrong, but the one we have in front of us is what we're voting on, not the one
That's what we're
online.
voting
No,
on.
the laminated one is correct.
Right, and the
But
one that,
somehow-
they put one in front of us tonight.
Oh,
it
I
matches.
didn't see one that was in front of us.
Oh,
This one, it
Yeah.
looks like
I
this.
just pulled it up
Yeah.
online.
It has a
And
resolution.
it's wrong on
I didn't have a
So the
copy in
one
front of me.
online
Mine
was
is
not
wrong.
corrected,
And the one in front of us is right.
is right.
That may have just got on part of the board members because
They have.
I didn't have it down here.
But what I'm looking at and what she's looking at,
It's this, David.
yeah,
I think that was just a duplicate that was provided before. We discussed it before the meeting, so that'll be changed to match what you have in front of you.
Okay. So what we're voting on is this document right
That
here.
one right there.
that's correct.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Betsy.
are there any changes in this document?
No, ma'am, not that
Okay.
I'm aware
I
of,
was gonna say, I
other than
looked through
David
it,
had
but I
asked.
didn't look through it word for word.
Yes,
so,
ma'am. There's,
okay.
as far as I know, there have been none given to the administrator or myself to make changes.
This was what I looked at,
Yes.
not this.
That's right.
So,
Yes.
Madam Mayor, can we
Yes.
make whenever we ask for this to be approved, can we
Yes.
make a clause saying we want it to be just like this, just in
Yes.
case there's mistakes?
Yes.
And when we go to vote,
That is what the motion will be. Okay. Okay, yes, Reed.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I would like to bring up concerning public notification,
Okay,
and I don't have necessarily the proper verbiage for that, but when we have notice of special meetings, public notification is on page 1,
yes, sir.
the very
Item-
bottom.
Item 5.
When we have meetings or when we put out information for board seats, like for planning commission or directors or Parks and Rec, in that we make sure we include being able to use social media, things like that, not just newspaper, and that we're up to date with the how things are notified. And I understand we're coming out with an app or something.
Yes, sir.
Is this a time where we might be able to hear a little bit about that, or do we need to wait?
I think that was on the administrator's report.
Now, I think you will talk about that then. He had mentioned that he was going to do
So we
that.
can wait just a moment on that?
Okay.
I just want to make sure under public notification that we have the verbiage in there that allows people to be notified.
All of the different forms of,
Because the newspaper worked wonderful for many decades, but today it may not reach many.
okay, so and it includes posting it on the website as well as press notification, send special notice to citizens who have been shown a direct interest. So you want to add to that where just also all electronic media?
Yeah,
or
something like that.
Something like
I know,
that?
like newspapers on electronic.
Right.
Not just in the paper form, but that, whether we're 22 years old or 72, we're able to be addressed on how we can have access to that.
The sentence that says the city's website, you could include in all city social media, because that would cover everything, wouldn't it? Facebook,
Well,
Instagram, and.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Jay Williams, City Attorney. I think it's certainly appropriate to provide all the notifications we can. There are also some legal requirements under state law for meeting notifications. My concern is we can list 56 things here, and if we place a notice on 55 but fail to provide notice on one of the other optional things that we might have added to our list, then we've violated our own rules, which could cause a problem. So I would suggest that we, if we want to add to this language, that we put it in a method that says the city will strive to notify social media or something like that, not be required to, because that could be a trap to the city.
The very first sentence says the city will do
Yes.
its best to go further than is legally
Legally
responsible. Does
required.
that- does
And
that
so
help?
that we will strive.
So, Madam Mayor.
Okay, yes, sir.
Is that sufficient? I'm not needing to change just for change's sake. I just want to make sure we're able to put that out and we have.
How is it now listed whenever for the requirements for, Janae, for you all?
How we do it now?
Yes.
It's my understanding that we will do the press notification And Megan is really great about putting those on all social media platforms that we have.
All social
On
media
the city
platforms of the
social media
city.
platform. She will most usually, if not always, post the meetings and the information of the upcoming meetings on social media.
All right.
Madam Mayor?
She put the notice date, but I don't know
Yes.
if she put the agenda. She put the notice date and time. But
Okay.
I think what this was saying is that we would place the agenda on the do we put it on the bulletin board outside?
Yeah.
So,
Yes, sir.
I
It's
know
all-
it's on the city website.
It's all, the agenda is always posted out in the glass case as soon as it's posted.
Madam Mayor, I thought I understood Reed to say something about notifications for even
Yes.
commission openings.
Yes.
And so I think this is more than just meeting announcements. So if we have positions on the planning commission come up, make sure that people know about that other than through the press. Am I right there?
Yeah.
And I
Madam Mayor,
did hear
yes.
some feedback about that too, that especially with this last planning commission go around, that maybe people didn't realize that there were even positions available. So, and then we've got the Parks and Rec and just whatever we can do to make sure people are aware of.
So what you're addressing here tonight is your rules of order and procedures for the Board of Directors. That's what this is for your Board of Directors, which includes your agenda. I don't know that this is the place for direction of notices for openings on commissions, okay? I mean,
That's
I
what I
understand what you're
understood Mr.
saying, but
or
you
Reed
want
said,
that
yeah.
to happen, but I don't think this is the place that we do that, because these are your rules of order and procedure for your Board of Directors, okay, rather than your, okay? But there is, I believe, well, I know there is something in our, and one of our ordinances about notifications for, Chris, can you help us with that? What,
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have the exact ordinance. That was a little kind of on the fly, but I do believe that the ordinance, there is ordinance that states that, I'm not sure if it's ordinance or just policy that states that we will provide a public notice. The minimum public notice requirement for a planning commission's open seat would be the newspaper. We typically do, and we did have a little bit of a communication issue with this round, but previously and moving forward, we will ensure that it's posted on the social media sites. We've already had that conversation in the planning department, or the planning division, and we will be making sure that we get those listed on social media. We're also looking at different opportunities to reach out to different demographics throughout the community, so.
so you all are addressing that particular issue?
That is correct.
In what you are doing. Reed, is that kind of
I'm
what you
good
were
with
looking
it.
for?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Madam Mayor, I
Yes.
did have a couple of questions
Yes,
also.
ma'am.
So, under public comments, David, was the change that you mentioned the only thing that you saw as a difference between the two? Okay, so I'm still looking at what we got
Letter
online.
C, page 5.
Okay. Under D, old business and new business, public comments, the last sentence does say each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, timed by the designated official, and I think that's what we had agreed on, but I know there have been a couple times recently where we've gone over that, so I just want clarification. Is it 3 minutes no matter what?
Yes, ma'am.
Time of the meeting it is?
Yes,
Okay.
Mindy. And you're right, there was that question after our last meeting that there was, okay, what is the rule for the time limit for public input? And yes, I went back and reviewed, I've talked with the city attorney, and that is correct.
Okay.
It
I
is
just
a
wanted to
3-minute
clarify
time
that.
limit for all public input. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Page are you on, Mindy? What page?
That was.
It's page 3.
Page 3,
Oh, okay.
under public comments, number 3.
And the very last line there, David.
And then on page 4, number 4, under voting, this is just a question. Every member present when a question is put to a vote shall vote either yes or no, except that a member may abstain from voting if he or she has not participated in the preceding discussion of the question, and if that member has previously stated the reason for the abstention. It doesn't seem to have been practiced that we have stated the reason for the abstention, so I'm just asking our are we supposed to be stating our reason for abstaining from votes? According
Always
to
have.
these. Yeah, David generally will, but I think there's been other,
But we used to not
abstentions.
years ago, until I read that,
Yeah.
that's when I,
well, and I've heard you, but I think there's been other times, and my question is just for clarification. Are we supposed to be telling the reason why we are abstaining?
And according to your rules and procedures, yes.
Clarification there. And then under, oh gosh, what page is this? Well, it's under Procedures and Parliamentary Rules, D, under reconsideration. Says, after the decision of any question, any member of the prevailing side may request a reconsideration of any action at the same or next succeeding meeting, provided, however, that a resolution authorizing or relating to any contract may be reconsidered at any time before final execution thereof. The motion to reconsider requires a simple majority for passage. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because of Mr. Perkins' comments in the public comment time. I think he did bring up some things that maybe we weren't aware of before, and I'm wondering if we should reconsider or if that is a matter that we can reconsider. And if I read that right, it has to be now if we're going to make that decision. So, and I don't know when to do that either. So I know we're talking about the rules and regulations now, but if we are going to reconsider a decision made, when do we do that in the meeting?
Can you help with that direction, Jay, for her?
I mean, I think that's up to the board as to when that would take place. With respect to the particular question, the action that was taken at the last meeting on the zoning issue was whether to rezone. Now the speaker tonight speaks of perhaps seeking a conditional use permit,
Okay.
which is different than a rezone.
Yes, because we were looking at a zoning to GI, right? But you were talking special permit.
I thought we
Madam Mayor.
shut
Yes.
down
Okay.
Yeah, Chris.
Just a correction on that, that was a special use permit that was denied.
Okay. So it wasn't a
It was not a
rezone.
rezone.
Okay. So you were correct, but we've got new information tonight. So if we were to reconsider, it would be
Before the end of the meeting.
before the end of the meeting, okay?
Yeah. So I would say if that's something that you're thinking of doing, that perhaps it would be during your director's comments that you could ask for that reconsideration if you so chose. Okay? Because it does say any member of the prevailing side may request a reconsideration at the same or the next succeeding meeting, which, as you stated, is tonight's meeting.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yes, ma'am. So I guess what we've come down to is that we want to make sure that the rules of order and procedures are matching what we have printed before us here, okay? And Janae, you know what that is. I believe you'd already looked at that and talked about that. And we want to change the wording for public notification. Is that correct? So that it includes, or we strive to include all social media of the city. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay. Any other changes that you would like to discuss? Alan, you have any comments?
No, ma'am. Later on in my administrator's report, I'll let the board know that our app should be up and running, and citizens for Android and Apple. Android, I think, will be the next couple of days, and Apple. So this will be another social media site that folks will be able to go to that we will keep up and go right to their phone, go to our app, and hopefully the information will be a little easier for them.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
We are going to be revising on the city website board packet to change this back to the original.
Yes, sir. Yes, Janae said that she will go back in and make sure that that is corrected, so it is out there for.
So I will make a motion, we adopt the board rules as was passed last year with the amendment of adding the striving to, on public notification, whatever you were stating about social media.
Okay, and we have a second for that. We have a motion and a second. Or is there any question about that motion or second? If there is not, roll call.
Bristler? Yes. Allen?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Wiles?
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes. Motion is approved. Next, we'll move into our contracts and approvals.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you
Oh,
again.
that's fine.
I just got a quick message. Just one of the directions that I have given staff with Megan is our PR. Segan is now her backup. So if someone's out, we always have someone to be doing it. Just know when they post a link to the board agenda on social media, it is also put out, the post is also put out for public notice. So that's one of the directions. that
All
I've
happens
given
at the
that we're
same
doing.
time. Yeah. Thank you. So with that, we'll move into our contracts and approvals. Well, contract for the Siloam Springs Golf Course, Maxim Golf Solutions LLC. Alan?
Board, thank you, Madam Mayor. This year, in the past, the first time when Maxim Golf came on board, we did a one-year contract. One of the things that Brian talked to me about was their standard with contracts is 5 years, and I really wasn't comfortable with that. So we talked about it and brought a 3-year contract, which would be over my spending limit because I think this is something that needs to come to the board. Our attorneys reviewed the contract. It's basically the same contract as last year. I think they've done an exceptional job. Apologize, I'm looking for my email and reading. We are revenue this year at $295,000 this year so far. Well, we ended in '24, a little over 295,000, which far supersedes what we've done in the past. So I'm really, really happy with Maxim's done. I'm happy with the direction that we're going. And again, this is a contract and could be nullified by them or us if we don't like the work each other's doing or our partnership's not going very well. So I'm in strong support to keep Maxim Golf running our golf course.
I will say that I've had several people that golf a lot that have complimented them for the job they have done and how good our golf course looks now. So, all right. So Alan has given us his information. Directors, questions and comments?
Madam Mayor?
Betsy?
So the 120,600, is that for all 3 years?
Yes, ma'am. Those numbers should, in the first year, it's $3,200 a month, so it's $38,400. And then the second year, it goes up to $40,200. And then the third year, $42,000 for a total of $120,600. And when you see the 10% directors, what that does, if you see on that the revenue base, if it succeeds $340,000 the first year in revenue, they get 10% more. If it's what they're hoping, they're going to continue to make this better and better. The next year's $355,000, and then it'd have to go over $370,000. If they do not meet that, they do not get that 10%. That's standard in their contracts.
So if we had 295,000 in revenue, basically, we end up covering the contract, there's no out-of-pocket?
This year, we right at budget. I don't know if we made budget, to be honest. We just have put a lot of money into it this year.
What is budget?
Travis, Travis left. Chris, do you remember off the top of your head? I didn't have Christina come. I think the initial budget was a little over $100,000, and we had to replace the pump in the well house. There's also some electrical issues. We put some money in there just to make sure we could get that done. It was some green feed restorations, seeding for the greens. We're hoping this year we won't have to do anything like that. One of the things I'd like to see the golf course do that I've talked to Brian this year, that again, we didn't budget a lot of money for the golf course, but is to remove that barbed wire fence and maybe put more of a wood fence along where the driving range and rodeo grounds. My concern is, I've gone through there a few times, I've golfed out there, and it doesn't matter, young, old, they're trying to get over that barbed wire fence, and I just know someone's gonna fall on it. And again, it just doesn't look really good, so I would like to see, and we're gonna try to do that in-house to make sure we can do that, to help us financially. Hoping for a good year.
That it? Yeah, okay, anyone else? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this contract with Silent Springs Golf Course? Yes? You will have 3 minutes, William.
Gotcha.
I know, you love that 3 minutes.
William Hall, 1203 North Letitia Lane. I used to be a debater, so I can speak fast. But I will say, one reason you've had increased revenue at the golf course is because nobody's skimming from the golf course anymore. I personally paid $2,500 for a yardage sign to be put up at that golf course. That was never honored. Now, Maxim has nothing to do with that, let me clarify. Okay, but I'm just letting you know things that were going on in the past. I think if you looked at $289,000 annual revenue on a golf course, 9 holes, you would find yourself in the very bottom percentile. I myself am an avid golfer. I've pulled my golf cart from there. I don't go out there anymore. It literally, the course has been so bad. Now it's gotten better, and we can get where we need, but it's going to take more funding. I think it might have been $150,000 they had to start with. That's not enough. I even said at the time, that's pennies in the bucket. One thing I will say, you got to seed greens every year. You got to aerate them every year. There is upkeep every year. But if we can get this right, it's not just the tax revenue that we can get from keeping the golfers here, but being able to hold tournaments. Our own Chamber of Commerce did not hold their golf tournament at the local golf course. That speaks loudly. So
I don't mean to, Chambers had their event out there the last 2 years. I golfed in it, yes, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt you, I apologize.
Okay, I was wrong. I know somebody held a tournament at Sager Creek. Maybe it wasn't the Chamber of Commerce, maybe it was a different city tournament, but it was held by the city. So I would love to have an 18-hole golf course. It's paramount to the city that we have a great golf course for the growth of the city. And I agree, we do need a new fence, not just the barbed wire, but balls going into that road and hitting cars. That happens. So I don't know anything about the contract, but this thing's been a disaster for a while. And if Maxim can fix it, that's great, but even with the funding, they need more funding than what we're probably giving them on top of the revenue that it generates. But if you can start getting golf tournaments in, you can make up for that.
Thank you, William.
The way I drive, I need a wall about 30 feet high to protect, keep it in play.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, David.
I just had a question. Alan, were you able to compare this contract to any other city's contracts?
We looked into it. but
With Maxim is what I should say.
Didn't dig-
Maxim's contracts with other cities is what I meant.
No, sir, I did not do that. I looked back what Maxim's had before we took over. I looked at the contract, and what I signed last year, and then the 3-year, nothing really changed. To what I'm seeing, we've gotten a pretty good deal from where we were to where we are. It's just amazing, the compliments that we get every day. We've doubled, I can't tell you exactly what we've done, but I've been told we've doubled just the membership. And one of the things that we need to, also do is get in there and do something with these cart sheds that are just an eyesore. And we still have a lot of work to do. But no, sir, I have not compared.
When you just referred to the previous contract, did the city board approve a previous contract with Maxim?
No, when I signed the contract, it was in my spending limit, so I signed it. That's why I decided to bring it to the board and do a 3-year contract. I think last year it was around that $30,000 mark.
I thought the board had to approve all contracts, no matter what the spending is, because the mayor has to sign them.
No, sir, that's just like the Main Street, anything under, my spending limit, and I let the board know when we signed these contracts. The museum, I think, came to you. The chamber came to you. Other contracts are under my spending limit.
Well, I understand your spending limit, but I thought state law said all contracts, no matter how much, have to be approved by the board of directors, and that's just the impression that I've understood. Maybe that's wrong, based upon the spending limit. I thought the spending limit was based upon what you could go spend or need to spend in an emergency situation under a certain amount. But contracts, I thought, because the mayor had to always sign all contracts, which is state law, that I thought they all had to come to the board for approval. That's something we have a city attorney here for. Maybe he can go check that out later.
He can let us know.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
Betsy.
Mr. Hall had mentioned that he paid for yard signage
That was back with previous, yeah.
before, but. Oh, okay.
Go up to the mic so it can be recorded. Thank you, Bill.
William Hall, 1203 North Letitia Lane. When they were having trouble paying their state taxes, I think they devised a plan to go to other local businesses, raise money to try to pay off those state taxes. I mean, I'll just put it bluntly. There were lots of people stealing money out of the coffers of that golf course. And that's why the golf course ended up in the shape that it was. That's just it. And I wrote them a $2,500 check as advertisement to have a yardage sign placed. That check was cashed. I never received my yardage sign. But that has nothing to do with Maxim or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
But I would like to have my yardage sign.
Thank you, William. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
I was starting to say,
Oh,
I
yeah,
want to hear.
Arthur's coming
I have
back.
a comment, but I
Yeah.
want to
Thank you,
hear
Madam
Arthur.
Mayor, City
Yeah.
Board, Arthur Holbert, 2075 Highway 16. Just wanted the record to reflect that the Chamber has had its golf tournament out there the last couple of years and actually helped raise $90,000 to help secure funding to keep the golf course in existence. And William is an avid golfer, and he actually was part of helping to raise that money for $90,000. So I think the city actually should honor and him to have his sign there, because he was putting his money in a golf course that was struggling, trying to help make it better. And actually that, I don't think that was part of the $90,000, but he definitely ponied up his money trying to do that. So I would like to see the city, it's a city golf course, I'd like to see the city honor that. If we can do that for outside businesses, we ought to be able to do that for an inside business and honor that for Mr. William.
Thank you. Lisa?
I agree with Arthur's statement. I also want to recognize, Maxim is doing a great job, but I want to recognize locally, Corey is doing an amazing job. And I think part of that success is because Corey is an amazing manager. And so I'd like to acknowledge her role in that, because she has done a lot for the community through that golf course.
You can't tell her no.
What?
You can't tell her no.
That's what I like about her. No.
Talk you into it.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad?
Well, I'll chime. I'm holding back because I just wanted to thank this board for doing something I couldn't get done when I sat in Director Wiles' seat. Because we knew the golf course, the best case scenario is that we break even. It is a place-based amenity that brings in revenue outside of the golf course into the community. That was one of the benefits. This last year, I golfed for the first time in many years. The FOP had a fundraiser for Shop of the Cops, and the fire police had a golf tournament. And I also like to thank the chamber because I busted on the chamber for not playing at the golf course when it was in poor shape. And I was very glad to see them come back to that golf course. So I thank you guys for that one there. There's some avid golfers out there, hardcore. They're just the next level. And one of the things looking out of the future that they had mentioned was, and I think it's going to have to be, I would suggest grant-based, but the cart paths being redone, and they would like to see those done so that they could also be a walking trail through the golf course. And so that's something they had mentioned, and that would be an expenditure that's well outside the realm of these numbers here, but I would plant that seed today for that golf course to be a multi-use facility in the evenings because it is the headwaters, our original water source. It's an old buffalo park, and I think we know the long history there. So, but I just, once again, I think it's a great thing that this board did to get that back online and back in condition. And there's a lot of bad history out there with businesses, but I don't think that's the future of that course. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Betsy, and then I'll come to you, Lisa.
I just wanted to see, do we need to vote? Can we move forward with Arthur's suggestion of honoring the signage for Mr. Hull?
I don't know if we can do that legally. I will look at that again.
Jay.
Madam Mayor, I don't know that those funds came to the city. And if those funds were not paid to the city, I don't think the city has the ability to use public funds to make restitution.
I don't know where the fund, and I agree with Jay, so we were kind of, I don't know where the funds went into the old board that was running that. I don't know where their funds are for us to take funds and do that. I don't know if I can do that.
I believe that it was the old board that came to you. Was it not, William, that you paid money to? It wasn't like whenever you were helping the chamber raise money. It was prior management at the golf course. Is that correct? This sold you?
Yes, well, I wrote the check to Siloam Springs Golf Club.
Which was under the Siloam Springs Golf Club at that time, had their own board. So, yeah.
Which no longer exists. Now,
Right.
one of the things Brian and I have talked about is doing yardage signs. I want to make sure that he gets one, and we'll work, we'll just have to work something out
Maxim.
there. Let me try that, okay?
Thank you.
Again, and I respect that, and I agree with you. We should be honoring things that we have done and that have happened. We got to make sure that's happening, but it's.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the Siloam Springs Golf Course contract.
Before I accept your motion, Lisa did have a
okay.
statement that she wanted to make. Lisa?
Oh, this is more for Jay. I did look it up, the state statute 1447-120, and it says that the city administrator may contract for or authorize contracts for services to be rendered for the city, to the city, or for the construction of municipal improvements. However, in such connection, the board shall establish by ordinance a maximum amount, and each contract purchase or authorization exceeding the amount so established shall be effected after competitive bidding. So it doesn't look like it has, that's where he's able to do the contract, as long as it falls under his.
That's correct, as long as it's under that amount, within that designated authority.
Okay, and that's state statute 1447-120.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, David, do you have a motion?
Yes, ma'am. I make a motion, we approve the contract with Maxim Golf Solutions LLC. Is that, the agenda has it spelled wrong, and I'm just wanting to make sure it is M-A-X-I-M, not U-M. And so I make a motion that we approve that contract with Maxim Golf Solutions.
I have a motion and a second. Lisa did the second. Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
I will say one last thing. When we first went with Maxim, we have a young man, not a young man, he's my age, but one of my best friends growing up is a golf pro at a huge course. Nash Axel grew up here, and he told me we could not have picked a better company because he's had a lot of experience with Maxim on their golf courses, the ones they
remember you
manage.
telling us that. Yeah.
So they've done a good job, and I think they will continue to do us a good job. And I appreciate Brian Menace. I mean, it doesn't happen that every CEO shows up here to give us updates, and we appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. So contract is approved. The next item is ordinance 25-1, first reading, amend the City Municipal Code, Section 22-323, ambulance fee schedule. Chief Kendall.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Dustin Kendall, Fire Chief. When we were doing the budget for this year, and I was looking through some of our cost that we have for our EMS supplies, I noticed that we haven't updated our ambulance billing rate schedule for since 2015. So I did some research. I looked at some ambulance services in Northwest Arkansas and came up with these figures and presented them to Administrator Gilbert, and that is what you have before you.
Thank you, sir. Directors, comments or
Mayor?
questions? Yes.
Chief,
David.
you just said 2015. In the memo, it says 2011 was the last time they were adjusted.
There was I think there was a revision in 2015.
Okay. Well, nevertheless, it's been a long time.
I couldn't fit in that revision. We couldn't figure out where that revision actually came from.
Oh,
is my
okay, so
understanding.
2011.
That's what was in the memo. I mean,
There was a memo referenced in 2015, but we couldn't locate that memo from 2015, is my understanding.
I mean, if you think about, that's at least 13 years ago. So,
It's
yeah.
been quite a while. We've had a lot of increases in EMS supplies over the years, and I was looking back in like 23, I think we had $102,000 expense. And this year, or this last year, 2024, we were at $120,000 in expense, so.
Thank you for bringing us up to date.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Betsy?
I see the $12.50 per mile, $12.50 per mile. That's only when you transport, right?
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
So what about the faraway places out of area we go to in Oklahoma? Is that what they're getting charged?
Yes, ma'am, and I
But-
believe out of, let's see, outside of our city responses is an additional $100.
But that's
Additional.
only if you transport.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay.
That's
Which a
correct.
lot of times those faraway places aren't necessarily a transport.
Sometimes not, yes, that's correct.
So,
Yep.
okay.
Is that enough of a difference for going outside the city limit? Only $100?
I think so. The number of calls that we run that far out, that would really make a huge difference, I don't believe would total that many runs.
Betsy, did you
I
have
noticed
anything
that
else?
that was not
No?
changed. That
Okay.
number was not changed. That's the
That's
old
correct.
number. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
David, did you have anything else?
And I will add one more piece if I could.
Sure.
The $12.50 per mile, that was increased just to the relation to higher level of care hospitals that we are. So if you look at maybe a Bentonville or a Springdale, they're very close to those higher level care hospitals. So I just kind of adjusted that number to reflect that we're traveling east a little bit further distance.
Very good. Anyone else? Directors?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I feel like I should ask Dustin a question, but What's our recovery rate on fees? Do we know? Is it improved? I know it's always been a struggle.
I can get you those numbers. I'll get with our billing and see if I can pull some of those numbers for you and have them to you.
Because I know we charge the fee, but we're not actually, may not always be recovering that
Correct.
fee.
Correct.
Thanks.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I just had to give you one I knew below.
That's all right.
Certainly.
I will get you those
No,
numbers.
actually, I'm curious. Surely we've improved. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And again, Board, one of the things the chief and I discussed when he came on was just a lot of the things that we charge are getting, they're so out of date. We haven't done it in so long. I've asked Dustin and I've directed him, let's look into it with the economy and the way things have gone up. We're eating that cost. So I've asked him to look into this and increase these areas. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 25-1? There is not. So, directors, do I have a motion to place ordinance 25-1 on its first reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Bristler,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. With that, we will move to our staff reports, and we have, oh, I'm sorry, Alan, you need to read before we move on.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance number 25-01, ordinance amending section 22-323 of the Siloam Springs Code to adjust service rates and building procedures.
Thank you, sir. Now we will move to our staff reports, November financials, and our administrator's report. Alan?
All right, Board, thank you very much. For your November financials, it's in your packet. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Ms. Christina, and she'll help you there. I have no expenditures to report. The city app is going live this week, submitted the app stores today. Submitted to the app stores today. It will be available on Android users within 24 hours and Apple users within 48 hours. Once it's live, we'll share a link, the press release, and post updates to social media. The app provides residents a convenient access to city news, resources, issue reporting, and essential information right from their smartphones. We're excited to offer this new way for our community and stay connected with the city. With the potential extremely cold weather coming Thursday and Friday, we're looking at possible snow. I think it's 55% and pretty good snow on Friday. So staff and I will be keeping up with that. I will keep you updated as best I can. To report a power outage, again, with cold weather, we have things go wrong. So to report power outages during this business hours, call the electric department. You no longer have to call 911. After the hours, call non-emergency police line at 479-524-4118. City crews will focus on pre-treating, clearing primary streets first and secondary roads. Additionally, ready.gov is a great resource for weather preparedness. If your plants need protection this winter, get mulch from the transfer station. Through January 31st, self-loaded mulch is free. And if staff has to load it, it's $5. Also through January, mulch delivery is half off at $25. That's my report.
Thank you, sir. So we are now ready for our director's reports. And before I do that, I know the directors had asked for a workshop to perhaps look at streets and our priorities for those. So, and then also I think that the administrator would like to have time to review a large PD district proposal that's coming to you. Is that correct?
If I may, Mayor?
Yes.
Talking to the mayor today in our policy group and talking with staff, it's one of the field trips, but with the holidays, I know it's really hard for everybody to get together. What we have is we have a pretty large PD development, and Chris, please jump in. I just want to make sure the board knows it looks like it's going to be here in February. I would just like to sit down with you in a workshop, show you what it looks like, It's an area that's not in the city, but they're going to be annexing. And again, it's just discussion where you can ask questions and different things like that. Anything to add on that, Chris?
No, this was the first PD that did go to the Plan Development Review Committee. It has been reviewed by that committee and will be moving forward through the Planning Commission. The item actually originally came through as through the staff through a discovery type of a meeting, and the by right allowance was explored, and it was recommended to the applicant to move a different route that would be more in line with what the board has been looking for. So we would be more than happy to provide examples of both of those to the board, and if it's at a workshop, then that would be great for the planning staff and the community development department.
Just want to ask, answer as many questions as we can, and if we need to meet again, I just want to get you prepared for this. And the other thing we need to do is Kevin and I, in that workshop, with time allowing, we want to go into streets and let you know what our plan is and get your input on streets and what we're planning on doing this year. It looks like a very busy year, with Lake Francis. Hopefully staff and I have had meetings and lessons learned, things that we can do better. Because again, as we have almost a $12 million project will be coming up if you guys accept the grant. We're still waiting. We just have some red tape we're going through. Hopefully that we'll have that before you soon. But we're looking at a $12 million project. And what I'd like to do, instead of opening a road all the way, we do it in sections. Maybe we have meetings with neighborhoods to let them know what's coming and make sure we're sending letters. I think one of the things we could do better on Lake Francis, to be honest with you, I think when we sent letters out, we focused more on Lake Francis in the general area. For Mr. Love, didn't know it would go all the way to, Grand Court, to make sure that we're expanding that and open opportunities for people to discuss these things. Other things is, do we close streets? One of the things that when we put this out for bid, one of the things, at the first time we put it out bid, no one put a bid in because they knew this project was going to be tough. And we had to put it out for a second time just with the road being open and talking to contractors, because I drove back from vacation that Monday to make sure things were being done properly. And one of the things is, again, when you pour concrete, and I poured concrete since I was 15 years old. Let's just say an apron that goes into, or a wide apron that goes into a street, they have to pour half of it because got to leave one side open because we're driving on it. So they frame that up. That takes a day or two, and then they pour it. With concrete, it usually takes about 30 days for it to be completely solid and thick. You really don't want to be parking on it. A lot of times after 5 to 7 days, you can drive over it. So now we have 7-9 days past. Now we can't do anything, so we're waiting on it. We can't frame up the other side. So then we frame up the other side. So that takes time. So maybe we look at possibly, residential traffic only instead of keeping the entire street open. But I think if we did it in sections, it's like the bird streets. Kevin and I talked about that. It's one of our lessons learned. We have 4 bird streets that are in bad condition. Instead of tearing up all 4 streets and having a mess where they're only going to do one at a time, our plan is to do 1 street at a time. It's going to be a little more expensive, but I think it'll be worth it for our citizens and the headaches it may cause them and us. So again, I would like to sit down with streets and get your ideas. There's some things that we would like to do. I think Benton Street is out there. Had a lot of board members talk to me, about Don Hill. We've been talking about expanding that and making that wide. Do we do that in sections? But again, I just want your input, get your feedback, see what we can do better as a city. So that's what we're planning on these workshops.
So with that, then I would like to ask the board, propose that we do have a workshop, that we have it at 4:30 on January the 21st, which is our second meeting in January. We will hold it at the library, and we will make sure that we are finished and can get back for our regular board meeting here. Alan?
And Mayor, that's up to the board. We can do it here. The only thing about it, I want to put tables together where we can sit together because there's some big drawings, and we can do it here. We're just going to have time to put everything back together. So if you want to have it here, we can. I just thought it'd be a little more convenient to have it there, and then just make sure we get out there and drive here to have our meeting. That's the board's pleasure.
Comments from the board concerning the workshop? Are we all?
This one on the 21st is only, is it combining both these workshops you talked
They are.
about?
Yes, sir, if we have time.
If you have time, that's right. I think your primary focus for this one is going to be the large PD district coming up. Is that correct?
That is correct.
But there's no field trip on that one?
No.
It's just a presentation?
Right, and if
That's
the
right.
board, I would like to reschedule if possible, because a little bit with this PD, once you see it, it's going to look like Harbor Meadows, just a little bit, not that exact thing, but it's going to be rear-loaded where the garages are in the back, so you're going to be looking at these houses are more narrow than wide, they're longer. But again, I just want you to take a good look at it to know, because they'll probably request to annex.
Right?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I didn't hear the date.
It's the 21st. That would be yes, that'll be our next regular scheduled board meeting.
Then, second, I understand the streets for 2025, but I'll say in my closing comments, or I'll say it now, but I believe we need a workshop sometime in the near future just to review the master street plan so we can meet the needs of said roads, perhaps Don Hill as an example for 26, 27, reaching out further so that we can plan for that. And so whatever that looks like for staff, but the sooner we can do that, the better we are for planning for the future, and also meeting public expectation, which has always been a challenge for streets. Thank you.
Thank you. So are we all in agreement then for our workshop on the 21st? So yes, we will plan for that. Thank you, board. With that, we will move into our director's reports, and tonight I'm going to start with Lisa.
First, I want to say thank you for all the prayers and condolences after my sister's passing. It really is appreciated. I got a lot of phone calls while I was sitting in the hospital. I got a lot of phone calls when I was sitting in the funeral home. I got a lot of phone calls in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I ask that you please humor me and allow me to read what has been heavy on my heart and mind. 2024 was a rough year for my family and I, as I sat in hospitals and watched family member after family member travel from this world to heaven. A lot of thoughts went through my mind, but not thoughts of anger or hate or blame or bitterness. Thoughts of how, even in deep grief, and I am happy for them. I'm happy that the moment they stepped into the presence of Jesus, that they no longer felt pain. I am so sorry that I am crying. It has been a very hard year for my family. Oh, I'm sorry. So the minute they stepped in the presence of Jesus, they no longer felt pain. They no longer suffered. Instead, they were restored, as we all have the chance to be someday. This gives me strength and hope and encouragement, and I hope that is what you see from me. Looking at 2024, many would say, looking at the board of directors, that there was political discourse, strong disagreement, and extreme frustration. From the inside looking out, I saw passion, I saw love and support. I saw the value of each board member and what their passion gives to this community, how each is willing to put personal comfort aside to stand for the many causes every community faces. I saw the love of each member has for this community and watched each member serve in multiple capacities, given back in so many ways. And lastly, I saw support. Support of one another during personal tragedies and triumphs. Support that even if we disagreed, we deeply care about one another.
and the citizens we serve. That support reflects directly back to the great things happening in our community. So with that said, for 2025, I would like to say to the citizens, thank you for your trust in each of us. As unique as each of us are, we are stronger together. That allows us to serve you better. We are professional enough to have disagreements, or what I like to call hard conversations that lead to great things for our community, putting us all in a better place. We each love this community and what we think is best for the community as a whole. I ask that you continue to support and pray for us all. To the developers or business owners who wonder if this is the community for you, I say yes. Yes, it is. On the outside looking in at the board, please don't fail to see the value of the passion of each member and the unity that really does exist. The passion that you see is what has made us a great community that has drawn you to us. It's through tough conversations and passion that we make strong, informed decisions that help each individual and business be the best they can and provide successful opportunities. That passion is what makes us a community for you. To the members of the board and staff, I look forward to working with each of you again this year. I sincerely say that I value each of you and what you bring to the team whose focus is community, a community that was built on biblical principles and demonstrated in the actions each of us takes. Together, we are a great team.
Thank you, Lisa. And you will continue to be in our prayers. You have had a tough year.
I'm so sorry for crying. I did not want to.
Well, that came from your heart, so it's hard not to. Reed, we will move to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, Happy New Year. I did want to give a little bit of celebration. I know with the Lake Francis Road, we've had some ups, downs. We've had some happy, some sad. But when I started with this, being on the board 7 years ago, that was one of my top things that I wanted to see accomplished, even in front of senior housing at that time. I'm glad to see that we have gotten to where we are. And yes, the road's good, but even more so, we as a community are seeing more and more of the pedestrian traffic. And with the work that's been done on Lake Francis, we have sidewalk on both sides. One of the sides even has side path. And this is going to allow our citizens who are walking, maybe have a stroller, to have even more safety. I'm very glad to see that. And Kevin, thank you for picking up that torch most of the way through and seeing that be brought through. And I know we still have work to do. We have some railroad crossings and such where we need to make those to where those who are the pedestrians can get through there with your children and such in a safe manner. And we can look forward to the next steps on that. I would like to say that I would be in favor of a reconsideration for Dustin Perkins and your project, but I was not on the prevailing side, so I cannot bring that forth. But I just want to put that out for other board members. If there's one that would like to, I know I would like to reconsider that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Reed. Brad?
Madam Mayor, thank you. I'm grateful to the citizens. My first round on this board was where Director Wild sat, and where Mr. Fuller spent many years and he passed. I stepped from the board because I had my own things going on, and so I sympathize. The grieving process is heavy, and I wasn't able to continue serving the community. I am a public servant at heart, and I don't have compassion for those that don't have compassion for me. I just do city business. I ran on that format, and I really like serving with the city board. I like the board members here. I like anybody I serve with in the future. I like the challenges we face, and we face a lot of challenges. And one of those on infrastructure is meeting public expectation. We talked about this on the Kenwood Street project. We took a different format, and I think it deserves open discussion in a workshop. We might reevaluate that and lessons learned from in the past and recently. I wasn't on that board. I did listen to Mr. Love. I wasn't able to get back with him recently. I understand the frustration. I don't have an answer for that. The project's too far gone, and here we are today. I did catch a little bit, and it reminded me of why I serve, watching our late president recently lay to rest and go to state today. President Carter was an example of not so much his record of service is always questioned, but the kind of character of the human being he was and what our passion is to serve. Even when we're wrong, we do right, and we try to do the best that we can, and that is my goal set before me. And so I look forward to meeting the challenges and working with my fellow board members. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Alan?
Thank you, Madam
David?
Mayor. I want to say Happy New Year, and I hope 2025 will be prosperous for everyone in our community. I am all for the workshops that you are talking about, Alan. Thank you for bringing those to our attention. I haven't properly thanked the citizens for supporting me to be reelected, and I wish to do so and thank them for putting their trust in me. I wanted to give my congratulations to those who were presented tonight in the presentations. Even though Corporal Fritz couldn't be here, I know he's a good man, and I hope he gets well. And I appreciate the Deputy Chief making his presentations, as well as Chief Kendall on Firefighter of the Year. And as well to two long-serving members of our Planning Commission, J.W. Smith, practically a legend in this town, and Ted Song, who gave many, many years to this community, and we appreciate it greatly. I wanted to point out that we've heard so much about TriStar. Only recently did we realize that, and in fact, I had asked, why did we give two street projects to them at the same time? I didn't realize until it was pointed out to us that they're involved in a third project, which is not a street project. So, you know, it's a learning process for not always being involved in every minute detail of a contract. I appreciated the timeline we got handed tonight of this project. I did find the agenda, it was approved in 2022 for $2 million. But I thought the letter from our city administrator to the company was well worded and basically puts them on notice that we're not just handing any contracts to them in the future without proving that they have to be responsible much, much higher than they have been in the past. I appreciate the board's wishing to put off the pickleball thing until we have more public input. I thought it's important. That's why we're here, is to get public input. I wanted to thank Becky Parmain Sisson and the New Life Church for setting up a tent for homeless in this cold weather with heaters and being able to fulfill a great need that we have in this community for times like this, just as we did last year. And the Lanker family came in and saved many people that bad weather time. So we appreciate Becky and coordinating with the church on that. I wanted to give my condolences, not just to Lisa on the loss of her sister, but to the Ken Ramey family. He was a really, really good superintendent. Probably the best since Burton Elliott. And I was really glad he got the Pioneer Citizen Award a few years ago because he deserved it. He was a true leader, not just to students and parents, but to the whole community, really. I wanted to give my congratulations early to Joe Albright. Couldn't have picked a better Pioneer Citizen. Born and raised here, family goes back way, many generations, and he is certainly deserving, as well as James Barnett on the, I call it the OCLA, the Outstanding Civic Leadership Award. I wanted to address something that doesn't seem to get addressed very much, but we so depend on every day just to work through our daily lives, and that's the high-speed internet. And the amount of Cox Communications outages that we have had in the last 3 years is by far so extraordinary. I can't even believe we're dealing with it. The Cox Communications Company has a franchise agreement with this city that allows them to sell their services and utilize the city's light poles for their internet and cable business. The fact is, since early 22, 23, 24, I've got the notices, I've got the text messages to prove it. How many times they have gone out with no explanation to our city. I will state right here that when I served as mayor, I wished that we had changed the contract. I urged the board to change the contract. And the board did not wish to do anything except rubber stamp the contract that we had. Cox Communications does not provide the citizens of this town everything that they provide the other cities that they have services in. And a big part of that is called the PEG channels. It's PEG, Public Channel, Education Channel, and Government Channel. And all the other cities get these for free on their cable. I asked because Mark Latham had proven it when we had him looking this up in the 90s, that we did not get offered this. We should be given the same benefits on our city franchise contract that every other major city in Northwest Arkansas is given by Cox, and we are not. We looked at going high-speed internet through the city years ago because of the fact that Cox raised their prices 60% in 3 years during the worst Great Recession that this city's had, that this country's had since the Great Depression, which was the financial crisis of 08. And in 2009, 10, 11, they raised their prices when people were losing their retirement. So when we have a company that does not provide the service, does not provide the same free channels on the cable that all the other cities have, public, the P is like a public access channel. The E is education channel for all the school system, including JBU. And the G is a government channel that we would be able to utilize for anything we needed. They have refused to do that, and we have not ever brought it up since 2011. I would urge us to do that again. I would also urge us to please reach out to Cox and say, why is it that you continue to have outages throughout the year, for the last 3 years especially? This last week has been obvious. Maybe it's weather related. But I mean, folks, this is not extraordinary. this is kind of become the norm because you can look through and see how many times they've been out. It's not for a day. It's for multiple days, for multiple times throughout the year. So I'm asking our city, on record, I'm asking that we reach out to Cox, find out what's going on, why these outages are constantly going, and to please, the next time a contract comes up, that we negotiate to include the 3 PEG channels that all the other cities have had. I think that's all I had. I'm just checking to make sure. Again, Lisa, my condolences to you. You have lost too many family members this year, and my heart goes out to you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, David. Mindy?
Okay, I will say Happy New Year as well, as others have said. And Lisa, I'm sorry. I think we all understand a few tears. Perfectly acceptable. Condolences, you and your family. Lake Francis. I appreciate the comments made earlier about how it has been a frustration for all of us, but not everybody is aware of the meetings, and I understand that. People have lives, and so they don't know that we have discussed it. I became even more aware of some of the public frustration, the residents in the area, through some Facebook posts. Mr. Love contacted me, and one of the things that he encouraged me to do was reach out to some of the people in the area, and I did that. And one of the people that I talked to was frustrated. I understand it. But she said she just felt like maybe no one had really taken full responsibility for it. And I think there's a lot of blame to go around. I don't think at this point blame really helps much. We just need to get past this project. Having been on a street that went through a complete rehaul 25 years ago, I do understand what you're going through. It was terrible at the time, but very much enjoyable after the fact. Hopefully, the residents in the area will enjoy the road once it is completely done. But I did want to thank Alan for, I shared with him, the resident who said, you know, it feels like no one's taking responsibility. And I think Alan tonight was trying to say, look, we could have done things differently. Not everything. Some things were just beyond our control. But I think we are trying to look at that experience as a learning opportunity going forward. We're going to make different decisions based on some of the things that happened with Lake Francis, and I appreciate that. That's the only thing we can really do. It's not the mistakes that we make, it's what we learn from those mistakes and how we move forward as a result. A couple of questions related to that project. I believe I understood that we could all potentially be named in a lawsuit related to this project and us possibly not taking responsibility for it. So, Jay, I ask you, going forward, how should we handle any further communication regarding Lake Francis? Is there anything that we need to be doing differently if we're all going to possibly be named in this lawsuit?
Madam Mayor, Jay Williams, City Attorney.
Yes.
I'm not aware of a pending lawsuit or the threat of a lawsuit.
I think it was mentioned earlier in Mr. Love's comments.
I think the city has proceeded in an appropriate manner. The city, through city administrator, through the city engineer, have both supervised and directed the contract within the contractual parameters. Even though there were difficulties during the course of the administration of the contract, those difficulties don't necessarily mean the city can simply say we're terminating the contract. There were penalty provisions that the city has enforced, And I think the city, through its staff and city administrator, has properly represented the interest of the city in administering the Lake Francis contract.
And I do understand that. I think I'm talking more personally as a city director. Is there any responsibility I have going forward in terms of communicating with people who may be bringing forth the lawsuit?
The function, as you know, the function of the Board of Directors is to set the policy, to set policies, to establish ordinances, establish procedures, and it's the job of the city administrator and the city staff to deal with the day-to-day issues in running the city. And so, just the
I don't want to cause
distinction in
any
your functions.
further problems as a city director by any conversations I may have, so that's kind of why I was asking. Okay. Ryan Cloud was the man that talked about the property. That sounds like an attorney issue. Will you all be dealing with that?
Madam Mayor, in the board, the Ryan Cloud matter, I think he has left. It's an interesting question. Ultimately, that's really a board issue, which is, does the board have some interest in pursuing the sale of 2 acres to him?
Okay.
And if so, I'm glad to deal with his attorney, with the city administrator, and bring back a proposed contract for the sale of that property.
Okay, we don't have the opportunity to respond to public comments at the beginning, but I want to make sure that they are dealt with, and so that's why I asked that question. So I'm not sure where we go from here. It sounds like it's on us, but.
If I may, Director, Jay, is this the same Mr. Cloud was the adverse possession right after the land sale that I let the board know?
Yes, it is. This is an adverse possession case that was filed against our water corporation. It has taken a different turn because I think his attorney realizes they can't succeed in adverse possession, so they have circled back and said, well, if that's not going to work, would the city be interested in selling this remainder interest, which is presently subject to a 99-year lease, so I can obtain fee title and perhaps get some financing to build a house.
Jay is being very humble. We had adverse possession claim a few months ago. He did an excellent job of representing the city, and that has turned a different course that I don't think we faced that lawsuit. One of the things that we're looking at now is they are under a 99-year lease, if I'm correct. In the way this works, when that runs out, they have the right to renew. So again, we can't do anything with it. So it may be the best interest of the city. It's in Oklahoma, and I would, my feelings about the Oklahoma property. Without tort immunity and different things, it does us no good. We're hoping to close on, if you can give us an update on that, Jay, on the sale of the property. I think we're still in a good direction there.
Regarding that, he said it's 1/8 of a mile from our water source. Aren't there regulations where we have to maintain like 1/4 of a mile from our water source or something like that?
I don't believe, I think he's perhaps 1/8 of a mile from the river itself, but not from our intake structure.
Okay.
Well, I'm bringing it up because he said something, we couldn't respond there, so whatever that means going forward. I just didn't want it to be something that, a year later he comes back and says, so.
Again, I didn't know Mr. Cloud was coming tonight. I would try to give you a heads up on that.
No, that's
We
Can
didn't
I
know,
ask
but
a
again,
question?
I just want to give you an update. This is that case I told you about that we were served right after the suit.
Is
or
it
the sale.
attached to the property that we are selling?
Thought it may, but again.
So, I mean, if we
it's-
were going to sell it, would we not want to sell it to the state of Oklahoma, or do we?
No, it's in that general area, but we're not selling. It's in the general area, but we are we are carving out from that sale some parcels that are subject to these long-term leases. There are some leases that were entered around 1960 that were 99-year leases. And this 2-acre parcel is one of those properties that is subject to a 99-year lease with a right of renewal pursuant to the terms of that lease.
Who are we leasing it to? I mean,
Well, it was leased, I don't know what the history was. It was leased originally, and then there have been subleases or assignments of leases or partial assignments of leases and a whole chain of title. And in fact, this property was mortgaged at some point to what was then First National Bank, became Arvest Bank, and was sold on the courthouse step at a sheriff's sale. And all that happened while the owners of that property were simply under this 99-year lease. So
I was just wondering if we considered the state of Oklahoma and the sale of the other property that we're selling to them.
I think the issue there, Jay's trying to say, is with having a lease, it makes it a little harder to sell that land to the state of Oklahoma.
I don't think the state wants to pay us any money for a land that's subject to maybe another 130-year lease before they could utilize the property for any purpose. And to give you a further update on the sale, I had an email from the attorney for GRDA today advising me that she thinks she's going to get the survey, her survey back within the next couple of weeks, and at that point hopes to move toward closing.
And then I just have one other thing, and this is in relation to Mr. Perkins. So it was a special use permit that we denied, and I believe I was one of the ones that voted to deny it. And that was based on some information that we got that night, that we've gotten a little bit of new information. I think I appreciated Mr. Williams coming before and sharing his concerns, and he sent all of us a letter before sharing his concerns. In that letter, of course, he did ask that we deny it, but he also said if we did allow it, that at least if they could get the privacy fence. And I think I heard Mr. Perkins say that he would be willing to do that, but I also heard Mr. Perkins say that the appraisal and that value of his property was one of the things that he was most concerned about, and that appraisal maybe was not based on accurate information. And likely, Mr. Williams didn't even realize that at the time. So I would just like to move that we do reconsider Resolution 57-24. And Rita's coming back now. Yeah. So I don't know if we do that now or we finish director's reports first.
Oh, I know it says that if we're going to reconsider it, it has to be at the next meeting, same or the next meeting, and this is the next meeting. But I also know that I don't believe any of the other people that were involved in that discussion are here, other than Mr. Perkins. So.
And it may be something that if we're willing to reconsider it, we may be able to table that reconsideration.
Madam Mayor.
We'll see, yes.
Chris Paxton, I'm the Director of Community Development. Staff will actually recommend tabling this item, the motion to reconsider the item if it prevails from the prevailing side. Then that would actually just allow us to reconsider it. It doesn't, it's my understanding, and it would be need to be clear from the city attorney who acts as our parliamentarian, that could be tabled to the next meeting. But staff would need time to have a public notice, so the tabling would be recommended not at the next meeting, but at the second meeting in February.
And I would feel more comfortable with that.
Point of
So-
order.
Yes.
You cannot have a reconsideration that is then at the next meeting, when this is the last meeting, it can be reconsidered. The reconsideration and the vote has to take place in this meeting. It's state law. It's in our board rules. You cannot say, hey, I want to reconsider this. If you wanted to at the last meeting, you could have, but at this meeting being the last chance to do it, you can't say, okay, I want to make a vote, which has to go to a vote for reconsideration. Then if it's reconsidered, you can't say, now I want to make a table that it be going to the next meeting. Because the vote, the reconsideration in itself is that we are reviewing what you're saying is new information. I disagree. I don't believe it is new information. I believe that this is something that if you want to reconsider it, it has to be voted on. Then we have to, if we listen to him explain his information again, then we make a motion or make a vote after that.
Well, we need to do it the way we need to do it. The tabling was in response to what the mayor said about the parties not being here, but.
So Jay, can you kind of give us some direction here?
Well, the board rule simply says that that a member of the prevailing side may request reconsideration at the next meeting. Motion to reconsider requires a simple majority for passage. After it's been acted on, no other motion for reconsideration shall be made without unanimous consent. So it appears that the act of reconsideration would effectively be to change the prior vote, which voted down the proposed resolution. So I think if the board's reconsidering, the board is effectively voting to approve the resolution.
No, we are voting to take a new vote as reconsideration. You have to have a vote to reconsider, and then you have to have another vote if you are going to change the previous.
Yes, Lisa.
Well, Madam Mayor, then I
Yeah.
think the question is, when does that other vote take place? Does that have to be tonight, or can it be placed on the agenda for a future meeting?
And can you look up state law right now and see what it says under reconsideration?
Chris, do you know the state statute number?
I do not have a copy of the state statute with me.
You know
and
about what
my reference
chapter?
was not in the reference of the state statute. I'm not familiar with what the state statute is. I'd have to refer that to the legal.
Hey, do you remember, I don't remember what the vote was. Do you have record of that? I
It
don't
was 6-1.
6-1.
6-1.
5-1.
Or 5-1, because there
Oh,
was.
Lisa wasn't
we
here.
had
That's
one
right.
Lisa
was absent.
wasn't here,
Yeah.
so it was 5-1. To deny, right? So just so I'm clear here, first of all, we need a motion. Do we need a motion to place this on the agenda for us to be able to do this? I mean, because it's not an agenda item, and we're asking to, isn't, I mean, I'm just saying that that's normally what we would do. If we were going to look at something that wasn't on the agenda, we would have to first vote to put it on the agenda. Is that correct? I don't.
Madam Mayor, typically that's correct. The board would first want to add this matter to the agenda.
And that requires a 2/3 vote or just a simple majority? Simple majority? Yes, okay.
Here, may I request a 5-minute recess?
I'm sorry?
5 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. Let's take a 5-minute recess, and then we will reconvene. So thank you, everyone. We will call this meeting back to order. During the break, I did speak with our city attorney, and Mindy, if your motion is to bring this item back for reconsideration, we would need a motion and a second to do that. It would need to be at the next regularly scheduled meeting because there is some notice requirements that have to be met. So that's where we are. Do you make that motion for this to be an item that we reconsider?
Make that motion.
And it will be reconsidered at our next regular board meeting. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, David?
I don't believe it's legal to have a reconsideration at a second meeting unless it is the second meeting of when it first occurred. You can do it during the meeting that the action took place or the following meeting. It's what our board rules state. There's nothing about making a motion to reconsider and then coming back and actually reviewing the original topic at another meeting. So I'm just saying, I don't think that's legal, but
Jay?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I don't believe there's a state law that addresses reconsideration. This reconsideration topic came up a few months ago. I did quite a bit of research into that question, and the reconsideration is governed by our board rules. And our board rules simply say the motion to reconsider must be made at not later than the next board meeting. It doesn't say that the merits of the matter must be addressed at that point. And I would have a concern about addressing the merits of a matter that has not been a part of the agenda, that no public notice has been provided, the citizens have not been advised that that's going to be rediscussed or submitted to another vote on the overall merits.
but that's not part of the board rules. The board rules don't state that it comes back after notice to the public.
No, it simply states that there can be a motion to reconsider. So based on legal advice, that's where we are with our motion and second.
Do we need it to be put on the agenda? That was the last thing that was asked.
I did ask, and no, sir, it does not.
Okay.
So is everyone aware of what you're getting ready to vote? You are getting ready to bring this back for reconsideration at your next regular meeting.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I will be recusing myself because I have financial investment in property located near that,
Thank you, Lisa.
in the subdivision right beside it.
So we have that in the minutes. Yeah. Thank you. So with that, roll call.
Blair.
No.
Burns.
No.
Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Allen.
No.
Carroll.
Yes.
It is a 3-3 vote. By my understanding, that is a failed, the motion fails for reconsideration.
Why was it 3-3 instead of 4-3?
7.
I recuse
Did I
because
miss
I
one?
have a
Because
financial
she
investment.
I couldn't hear what you were saying. You
Yeah,
weren't
Lisa
talking in the
recused
microphone.
herself, so
Okay.
yeah, there are only 6 votes. So that is correct. It fails because there is no
Correct.
lack.
There was not a majority.
No
vote-
majority.
Majority of the board.
Okay, thank you. Mindy, anything else that you have?
Oh, I think you've heard quite enough from me. I'll pass it along to Ken.
So Ken?
First, Lisa, thank you for your words. It's greatly appreciated. And I want to also congratulate our award recipients. That Benton County Officer of the Year, that's pretty amazing. And I think speaks volumes for what our officers do each day. And American Legion Officer of the Year, that's no slouch of a effort either. So I think we've got some great people, and I congratulate the 2 officers and the firefighter. That's just amazing. I think that's wonderful, and that's all I'll do tonight.
Thank you, sir. Betsy?
First, I'd like to bring up what David mentioned about the free Cox channels. I've heard that before. When is the contract up? Is that something that can be negotiated? That just doesn't seem right. Is that something that can be looked into?
Yes, ma'am. I looked, we actually do have a free Cox channel, channel 245. I don't know if it's free, it just says we have a Cox channel
Aren't
245.
That's not our channel. It's only the channel that they own that they put our meetings on. That's it.
Okay. So, but there are
It's not a
three.
channel that we can put other stuff, like Megan could put announcements or anything. It's only
Okay.
what they use to put our meetings on there.
And the other cities have three actual channels, you said, the PEG.
In government.
Okay. Can that be checked out? So, thank you. And also, I heard from some citizens about New Year's fireworks. I don't know if that's something we can look at. The other major cities in the area don't allow fireworks on New Year's. I personally would be in favor of getting rid of new fireworks on New Year's as a citizen, and he wrote to the board, but I heard from others. It affects the animals, it affects the veterans, and I know in my neighborhood, it went on for hours. And I have the bruises from a 110-pound dog to prove it. So I don't know if that's something anybody else is interested in looking into.
Here. They were going on 2 nights later as well.
Oh, yeah, they were still going on, yeah, for days. So, and then the infamous Lake Francis, Mr. Smith got up and spoke, and of course, being in my ward, I've been hearing from them for a year now. It sounds like there's a lot of damage and a lot of issues to his place. Is anything being done to address that? Like he said, the pipe is now near the surface and freezing. His mailbox needs to be put back. There's water in his front yard. It just sounds like he's got a lot of issues as a result of the work that was done.
Ma'am, the older gentleman that spoke, I had Segan get his phone number. I'll make sure staff reach out to him tomorrow, because that's the first I've heard of any kind of freezing pipes or things like that, but we will contact him tomorrow. Kevin, do you have any updates? I know we still have a punch list. There's some things that we can't do right now just because of the freezing temperatures, but you want to give them kind of an update?
Kevin Moore, Public Works. There are some things, especially with Mr. Smith's property, that the contractor is already aware of and coordinating. I will say the issue with the service line on top of the pipe, that was prior to the sidewalk being placed, and that should no longer be an issue. The final service line was beneath the pipe, but I will have Water Services staff confirm that.
Have you heard of drainage issues? Because I know we had some rain. I don't know. I went out there. I didn't see any. But again,
The contractor has attempted to address that a couple times, and we've not accepted the final result yet. It appears most of that issue was from the bank of the street eroding, and then the sediment creating a new low spot in Mr. Smith's yard, and so that'll be addressed before the end of the project.
Okay, thank you. And I know there have been lots of issues, and I've driven on it, and it's surprisingly bumpy and wavy. Is there anything to be done about it at this point? It's not, I was surprised by the quality.
Yes, we have not accepted the job at this point.
Okay, because it was Mr. Love who contacted me, I think, and others I saw on that Friday before Christmas. And he went and he tried to explain what the issues were, and he talked about temperature. I don't know how or why he knows about roads. But it just seems like there were a lot of issues with that when it was done, and it's not what I think we paid for.
So if you say, I'm sorry, but if you say we haven't accepted the job, so there are things that we are going to require from them Is that correct, Kevin, before we consider that complete?
That's correct. I'm not happy with the transitions, and particularly some of the areas around some of the manholes that are not to proper grade at this point. So we've not accepted the job, and we've not performed a final inspection yet.
And so they've not got their final payment yet?
Correct, they have not.
But
So
do the
they're-
fees, do they keep building up too? The penalties?
We have paused the liquidated damages as it's substantially complete at this point with the paving being done. And then we'll reassess those if they drag out the punch list, but they're as ready to be done with this project as we are.
You know how much is left on their payment?
The retainage was 110,000, I believe, and then there are a few outstanding items that they hadn't completed, like the flashing beacons and striping. And there was one panel of sidewalk remaining that I believe they've only just poured. So several things are still to be done. And then we always have the ability to self-perform some of the work if we need to, if we're not happy with the result that they get us.
I think, Board also, I think our total fines were 33,500.
Have they paid those, or are they being?
That's what, for the liquidated damages.
That is liquidated damages, and they will not receive that money. So it's not a payment that we have to wait on from them. It is an amount reduced from the contract since it went over, so they will never receive that 33.5.
Legally in Arkansas, you just can't fine them. It's got to be liquidated damages. So that's what they've been charged. That was the 250 for the amount of days they were over. Well, how many days, Kevin? I don't remember exactly.
134.
It's past contract.
Will we be fixing the fence of the guy across from, I know he was hard to understand, but the guy, he
Yes.
was saying his fence
Yeah.
is what he was saying. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've looked at it multiple times.
Yes, he came out and spoke with our staff last Friday while we were out there, and that's
that will be
already
fixed?
That's already working. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's already in the works. It hasn't been installed, of course, but it's in the works to be done.
Okay, good.
I had mentioned that I'd met and looked at it. Why is it bumpy and wavy?
There are several things that add into that. It can go as far down, if you want to nitpick, it can go as far as to how they load the asphalt truck at the plant, particularly with some of that waviness. The bumps that you feel as you drive, those are the transitions where they had to stop placing asphalt and then pick up again. And that was initially why we wanted only that first layer to be done in 3 pieces rather than that final surface layer to be done in 3 pieces. And then, of course, they had the issues with that Thursday before Christmas where they ultimately finished on Monday. But those kind of all add up to that end product that we're looking at. And those can typically be repaired by reheating portions of the asphalt or grinding and some other things to get those transitions proper.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That'll do it.
Do I have a motion?
I have never done this. I make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, ma'am. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.